Birdland Tonight is your place for Orioles post-game coverage for fans by fans. All of the hosts on Birdland Tonight are Oriole fans that are either writing blogs or doing podcasts about Orioles. Head on over to birdlandtonight.com to learn more about the hosts and other shows and websites that they're a part of. And head on over to Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch and subscribe, follow, or like, whatever the appropriate thing is, to Birdland Sports. Finally, share, retweet, and tell your friends about Birdland Tonight so that we're all joined into the conversation after every Orioles game this year. We'll see you guys in just a couple minutes. Head on over to the comment sections on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube to start interacting now. We'll see you soon. Did you know Birdland Tonight is also a podcast? Head on over to your favorite podcast app and subscribe to Birdland Tonight to get the audio of this show every morning ready for your commute. Thanks for joining us. We'll get started in just 1 minute. Make sure that you have subscribed to us on your favorite social media. Look up Birdland Sports on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Like, follow, retweet, share. See you in a moment. Hey, Matt, welcome to Birdland Tonight. And the Orioles won tonight.
Yeah.
But for once, we have more hosts than the Orioles have scored runs tonight. As Matt's joining me, my co-host over at Section 336.
Yep. I heard, listen to the game, some of the game on the radio. One of the stats was like the Orioles are 0-8 when they score 2 runs or fewer. And I mean, tonight they only scored 1 run, And thankfully, I mean, the other team, if the other team would have scored 2, I mean, they would have won.
Oh, if the other team scored more, they would have won.
Yeah.
Good point. We'll get to
So,
that. Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. Remember, Birdland Tonight, go ahead and share it on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you go, and subscribe. Hit the little notification, subscribe to the podcast, do the reviews, and keep spreading the word that this is the post-game show for the fan, by fans. The only post-game show if you're an out-of-town Oriole fan like I am. So, all right, Matt.
That's well said.
2 questions. You said you listened to part of the game on the radio.
Yeah, I got off to a rough start there with that. I think I might get that stat wrong. But yeah, that's part of the game on the radio. Yeah, and then part at home. I was driving part of it.
All right, gotcha. An exciting ending with this strike 3 to shut out the game.
Sure.
How delayed was the call? And can you notice that there's no excitement in the TV broadcast?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a lot of notes I want to get to in the game. And I wasn't sure if it was because the Masson app that I'm watching the game on, right? Like I used the Masson app to watch the game. And I think, well, maybe that's just delayed. And it's not just because it's kind of ridiculous.
I do the same thing, yes.
And the other part that you notice, like on every big moment, you realize the guy swings and misses, and then the call is made.
Yes.
But the other thing that was really annoying, there were several incidents in this game where it was 3-2 counts. And like you want to know and there's a player on first base, and you want to know if he's running or not. And you never know until like after the ball is hit, you see the guy, winds up at third base. Right. Like, oh yeah, he was running, because the announcers don't know. So the announcer can't say the guy's running. I mean, maybe they have a camera angle that does that, but they never commented on if the player was running or not. Maybe they don't even see it. I don't know.
We're told that they have all the camera angles in the booth and they can see all this stuff. Yeah. But when you watch the game, these away games, it sounds like they're watching the same feed that I'm watching and just then giving their commentary.
Yeah, and even like when there was 2 hits batters in today's game, and even when they were talking, like, I listened to the radio for both the hit batters, and when they were talking about Chirinos and Mullins, it was like you could just tell they were waiting for the replay to explain what happened because they didn't see what happened. And you feel like if they were in person, they would get a different perspective. It's just, It's all so silly.
Yeah, it is. But I felt like today, I think exemplified it more than it had for these other away games, just because that final moment should be exciting. You should be cheering.
And the excitement always feels delayed. Yes, it does.
It's very odd.
It does.
But, man, how about this pitching staff? I was just checking. I guess we'll talk a little bit about the game. The Orioles won 0-1. Like every game the Orioles play this year, it's super close. 1-run, 2-run games.
Yeah.
1-run game. Another game that the Orioles shut out the Oakland A's after shutting out the Yankees on Sunday. So it's 2 shutouts in a week. When do you think the last time the Orioles had 2 shutouts in a week was?
Josh, we have 3 shutouts this season. I don't think we had any shutouts last year at all.
You're right. We have 3 because of last
3 this season.
Yeah, you're right. We got 1 last week.
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable.
And it's a bunch of guys where it's like, you're like, wait, who? Why is this starting? Yeah. Like, I get Jordan Lyles started today.
Yeah. Well, and that was dumb of me to say that we had their shutouts because, of course, last year we had a John Means freaking no-hitter.
Right. We had.
But to that point, it's not like you have a starter going 8 innings just dominant. Like all these are like starters going 4 innings or 5 innings tonight, and then the bullpen pitching too. So it's not just like one guy pitching well. You have to have like 5 guys pitching well for this to happen. A shutout to happen. Because starters are only going 4 or 5 innings.
Right. Not because they suck. We're used to them going 4 innings because they suck, but going 4 innings because of this whole baby and the pitcher's in.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable how it doesn't matter who's on the mound, the pitching's doing well. And I get the whole we hit the A's during COVID. Okay, fine. We hit them at a great time.
Yeah.
We still shut them out.
Yeah. I mean, it's embarrassing that we lost the first 2 games of the series. I think it's a little bit embarrassing.
I think it's. I mean, when you look at the schedule, we lost. We just go back to game 1. We lost by 1 run, a 1-2 game. Then we lost 3-5. That Sunday game,
and there were some errors involved in that loss that opened up the floodgates a little bit. Yeah,
that Sunday game 0-8 was the only ugly game of the season.
Yeah.
Every other game in this season we've been in, we won 2-0. We lost 4-5, a game we could have won. Lost 2-4, a game we could have won. Won 2-1. Lost 2-5, a game we could have won. Won 5-0. But yeah, right. Those losses. Yeah, that Oakland game, we gave up 1 run. We lost 1-5 on Monday night. We gave up 1 earned run because of stupid errors. It's unbelievable that this pitching staff is now number 4 in all of Major League Baseball, number 2 in the American League.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, we talked about this in the past couple of years, how to watch a rebuilding team. And part of it is kind of pacing yourself and maybe not watching every game, but like picking your spots. And I do, like I start watching every game and then I kind of see how it goes. But this year, it's been forcing me to watch almost every game to the end because, as you said, every game's been close. But if you look at today's game, I think it's a perfect example. So Jordan Lyles starts, pitches 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, 5 hits, pitches really well.
Yeah.
Gives up no runs, obviously.
How a shutout works.
Yes, how shutout works. All these stats I'm going to give on pitchers, they all give up 0 runs. He's a free agent signing, but a free agent signing that everyone was a little bit skeptical on. This guy has a higher A.
Yeah, a typical Orioles move. Guys, it's not going to do anything.
Guy, he's an innings eater, which is an innings eater is a nice way to say he gives up a lot of runs, but he'll also just throw a lot of pitches.
Right.
While he gives a lot of runs. And then after him, you have Paul Fry, who comes in. I think he's, from all the guys that pitched today, I think he's kind of the longest tenured Oriole, the most well-known, the kind of the veteran Oriole, but also a guy who recently, as early as last year, struggled. I mean, last year an ERA of over 6 runs a game, but pitched a scoreless inning. And then after him, you have Tate. Tate, his story is just fascinating. Tate, people forget. Dylan Tate was a number 4 overall pick, first round, number 4 overall pick back in 2015 from the Texas Rangers. Never could figure it out. Went to the Yankees, could still not figure it out. Ended up coming to the Orioles in part of the Zach Britton trade, still trying to figure it out. And it seems like, last year an ERA over 4, but this year so far, he's been really good. So maybe Dylan Tate has figured it out. Then you go from that guy, and we're talking about he was drafted back in 2015. So Dylan Tate's 27, still trying to figure it out. Then you go to Baker, Brian Baker, who heard of him before the season started. He was just picked up of waivers.
No, I believe my quote for Brian Baker was, "Is this a real guy? Is this just a made-up name?"
Yeah, you appreciate the alliteration there with the name, but he was just picked off of waivers from the Blue Jays this past offseason. Considered a rookie. I think he threw a handful of games for the Blue Jays last year, but considered a rookie, but no real major league experience. But now he's pitching these high-level situations. And then the game is closed by none other than Jorge Lopez, a guy who we know last year had an ERA over 6, and the year before that had an ERA over 6. And we were all kind of wondering why this guy is still with the team, kind of a failed starter. But here's a guy who looks to, his stuff, he's throwing upper 90s. His stuff looks dominant. And again, this is a guy who is 29 years old, was drafted back in 2011, and eventually made his way here with the Orioles. But it's remarkable that it's just a bunch of, if you look at our bullpen, all the credit in the world to Mike Elias, because look at our bullpen, it's a bunch of guys who were kind of hadn't worked out in the past, have struggled, or, were picked off of waivers. It's not a bunch of guys like young guys in their 20s with electric stuff who, were busted. It's a bunch of veteran guys in their upper 20s who are just finally getting an opportunity or trying to kind of figure stuff out. So good on Mike Elias for kind of, patchworking this bullpen together. No free agent signings really in that bullpen, right?
No.
There's no money in that bullpen.
Don't forget, we traded our best two guys in the bullpen last year.
Cole
Salser was our best, and Tanner Scott is who we all thought had the best stuff.
Yeah, our most talented, and our numbers, the best, bullpen guys. And
so James,
it doesn't feel like we're missing those guys right now.
Yeah, James is pointing out over on our YouTube channel that we didn't get our third shutout last year until July 18th, 92 games into the season.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah. And this was what, game 12.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, it's wild. So I tweeted this out earlier. Like the lack of offense is really frustrating and really kind of surprising too. But the pitching, like, it's a little surprising the offense has struggled. It's mind-blowing to me that these bums, Jorge Lopez, these waiver wire pickups, this Jordan Lyles, this bottom rung free agent signing who's an
Bruce
Zimmerman, right? These are the guys that are kind of this leading the Felix Bautista, who has a kind of a wild story about been given up on by teams and making a comeback. And it's just every guy has his own little wild journey to the majors, and they're all kind of pitching well at the same time. It's pretty remarkable. I don't know how long this will last, but right now it's pretty remarkable.
When was the last time you watched an Oriole game for the pitching? I can't remember. I can't remember ever being comfortable with the pitching in the Orioles, except for maybe like a Zach Britton in the back end. But
in those years when we had Brad Brock and Zach Britton, but those were like big name guys, who signed big contract, and Darren O'Day, who were kind of veteran, established guys.
But
I mean, no other. If you're not an Orioles fan, you can't name a bullpen arm.
Well, and
you can't name a single guy in our bullpen.
The Orioles right now, number 4 in the majors. I don't know how these websites work with the stats. I'm guessing we have the top bullpen. I don't know, because our rotation's not the best. So I would think the fact that we're number 4 with a team ERA of 257. I mean, we've prayed for years to have one pitcher that could be under 300.
Yeah.
So to have a team ERA of 257 is impressive, but no one outside of Baltimore is going to talk about this because our lineup is so bad at hitting the ball. Our risks, the runners in scoring position, we talk about this every night on Birdland Tonight. It went 0 for 6 today.
Yeah.
Which isn't horrible, but that means they didn't have many opportunities with runners in scoring position. 11 for 99 right now for the season. That's some ugly numbers.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell how much of that is because runner scoring position is just your batting average when runners are in scoring position. Like, does that mean like you're just bad hitters, or is that just kind of bad luck? Like, for example, Trey Mancini had he's hitting the ball hard, and I know it's not showing up in the stat sheet, but like he had a ball hit today over 100 miles per hour off the bat, just right at somebody.
No, it's
and you saw the outfield for Oakland made a couple great catches.
Yeah, but this number is about bad pitching, because what really has amplified this number with risks is, and the fact that our scores are so low, is because a lot of those risks are strikeouts, where we're getting guys on and then we're striking out 3 times. Because it won't count as a risk, as a hit, but if you get guys on second and you can hit the ball to the outfield, you can move into third, move them in. You can manufacture runs that way, and we're not even doing that.
Yeah, and the disappointing thing about this lineup is you would think, like, okay, if you told me this is that our run, our run scoring was what it is, I would say, okay, what's probably happening is the top of the lineup is getting on base, and then you get the second half of the lineup, and they're not driving in the runs, and you just have this imbalanced half lineup. But it's not true. Like, Trey Mancini, Cedric Mullins are getting opportunities with runners scoring positions, and they're just not taking advantage. Even today's game, to focus on today's game, as it's Birdland Tonight, this is, Ryan McKenna had the big hit, the double, and then Chris Owens had the hit or Gutierrez had the error, it was qualified as, to hit the drive in. But the run scoring came from the bottom of our lineup, led with Ryan McKenna's double. And it's not coming from Mullins or Mancini or Mountcastle. And they had some opportunities today, and they struggled. Mountcastle had a really rough game with 2 strikeouts, and both strikeouts were balls that were out of the zone. Even his last ground out was a ball that was, a foot high. Santander is playing really well. And maybe we can get into this on section 336 when we do that show, but the Orioles' walk rate actually is really high this year. It's it's top in the majors. The walk rate, so they're walking a lot more, And I don't know if there's a connection there between their being too patient. And so for that reason, the batting average is going down because they're just being too patient and they're missing
Right.
opportunities to swing good pitches. But it's if you look at the lineup, I mean, the second half of the lineup, Odor, Chernos, McKenna, Gutierrez, Owens, that's not a good lineup. I mean, the second half, but that's where our run came. Like we scored a run because the second half of the lineup. You would think the runs are coming from Mullins, Santander, Mancini, Mountcastle, but that's not
right.
That top of the lineup that you would at least expect to produce. They're not producing.
I mean, it's interesting because tonight we even saw Chris Owens get a hit, who never gets a hit, and Ryan McKenna, who never gets a hit, get a hit tonight. Those guys got hits. Chirinos got hit by the pitch in the first inning.
Yes, got hit in the face.
In the face, yeah. So Hyde says that they think the Orioles dodged a bullet and it's just a facial contusion.
Yeah. So, and then that was the part we listened on the radio, but it seemed like it described where it hit his shoulder and then hit his face, but he was pulled from the game and Ben Boom was taking his place. But I just thought about this when I was watching because Mullins was hit just before that, I believe.
Yep.
And Mullins was hit like on the toe or something of the foot. He was fine. But Josh, this is my rule suggestion. I always have rule ideas.
All right, rule idea.
I feel like there should be a different penalty for hitting someone in the foot compared to hitting someone in the face. Like I feel like it was a little ridiculous. You get hit in the face and you go to first base. I think you should at least be able to go to second base if he throws you at your face.
But then you're gonna have the guys where it's being thrown out of the guy's foot and the guy's gonna dive down to get his head down there.
Yeah. No, I think shoulder up should go to second base. That's my new rule change.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go with that rule change.
Okay, fine.
But it's so frustrating because how do you fix this lineup? They keep trying to rearrange it. They keep trying to when it's your big hitters who aren't doing anything. There's nothing you can do. We hope a trip out west would help. It doesn't.
And the lack of power too. Like just I think yesterday. Ryan Mountcastle hit a double, and I was like, all right, good for Ryan Mountcastle. And then I thought I saw it was his first double of the season. Like, what?
Yeah, it was.
Mountcastle, his first double of the season? Like, dude. And just the lack of power in the lineup. But I know this is across baseball, whether the home runs are down. Right. It's just a lack of power. But you look at Mullins, batting 191. Mancini, 244. Though Mancini, I think, is hitting the ball a lot better than 244. Mountcastle, 229. And then our infield just doesn't have very good players, right? Like Odor, Owens, Gutierrez. I don't expect those guys to hit the ball well either.
Like Mateo's the star of that infield.
Yeah. Hey, listen, and he didn't play today. No, so I really was not talking about it. I've been super impressed. It seems like every ball he hits on a line drive. So I've been super impressed with Mateo.
We'll talk about that tomorrow on 336. So
yeah, and I guess they were resting guys because Urias and Mateo were out of the lineup.
Well, because today was the weird start, the 6:00 start where they bumped the game up because of weather or something.
Yeah, and then tomorrow's an afternoon game. Yeah.
Somehow I missed the memo that today's game got bumped up to 6:00. Oh. I thought it was still a 9:40 game, and then all of a sudden, like 10 minutes before the game, I realized that it was a evening game. It's a weird start, and tomorrow's a 3:00 start, which is great timing because we'll be able to watch that game and do section 336 after.
Yeah, if there is a game, I think they're calling for a lot of rain tomorrow too.
Okay, I didn't know Oakland got rain. I thought Oakland was California. It's just always perfect weather.
Well, I was watching the game and I commented to my son that look, there's no one in the stands.
There was 3,000 people at the game yesterday.
There was less today, Josh. There was what's the number? I looked at the basketball. It was 2,000 something today. It was in the 2000s today.
For all the crap that Oriole fans give the Orioles for Oriole fans not showing up, it was 2,703.
Yeah,
people there. We've never had it that low in Camden Yards.
And my wife commented that it's probably because of the weather, and it looked like if you looked in it, people were dressed with hoodies and wool caps and I was like, oh man, it was probably really cold. And then I looked at the game time temperature. You know what it was? It was 66 degrees.
That's beautiful weather. Beautiful weather.
I was like, come on. It was like 50s here. So, get out of here with the weather. And I don't blame Oakland fans. I mean, they sold off their team in the off season. So, I mean, I don't blame them for not showing up. But yeah, that was an empty stands.
Is it? I don't know what to do with this pitching. Because I love it, I'm enjoying it, But we can't believe it. We can't trust this pitching, right? Something like it's not like, hey, let's hurry up and bring up guys out of the minors to support this infield and score some runs because our pitching is working. I can't trust it. I can just enjoy it.
Yeah, and I mean, and with the injury to John Means, and that kind of called up Chris Ellis, but then Chris Ellis all of a sudden like looked really good.
Yeah.
So you're like, wait, what? And then it was
Chris
almost
Ellis
refreshing.
Threw like 4 balls to start the game yesterday, and then somehow got it together.
Yeah, Chris Ellis is weird. He would like get a bunch of guys out, and then like just decide for a batter, I'm just going to throw 4 balls out of the strike zone, and then he'd get back into it and start playing well again. But that, like the first game of the series, where we had all the unearned runs, like that was that felt a little more like, okay, like I'm not completely shocked. And then was it who gave up a bunch of runs? Did Lakins give a bunch of runs recently? And like you expect Lakins to come in, Travis Lakins to come in and give up runs.
Yeah, that was that was over the weekend with the Yankees.
Oh, it was the Yankees, yeah. And that was like expected, and that was like normal. And yeah, that was last weekend on Saturday
night, and came out, and he ended up getting the loss because that was a game where it was winnable, and it had the weird hail delay.
Yeah,
never seen hail before.
Yeah, and but that's like what you expect. Like you bring up these guys from the minors who don't have great track records against good offenses. They're going to struggle. What's been amazing, and you're right, is that a lot of these pitchers don't have great track records in the majors, yet they're all playing really well. And it's not just that they're like getting lucky. Jorge Lopez, he looked freaking dominant. Yeah. He looked dominant. Felix Bautista, he doesn't look like he's just kind of like, he doesn't look like, here's a comparison. He doesn't look like Cesar Valdez, where Cesar Valdez with his freaking dead fish, like he looked like fun to watch, but you knew at some point players were going to square up on this stupid 85-mile-per-hour pitch coming in. Like Felix Bautista, Jorge Lopez, when they pitch, you're like, how is anyone going to hit this? Like they look great. So I don't feel like it's just them getting lucky, or like their balls have movement. And so I assume their balls will continue to move like this. And so, yeah, it makes you kind of more optimistic. And maybe this is all that, coaching and training, and some of it starting to pay, and Elias having enough chance to kind of filter through guys and find the guys he likes. But yeah, the pitching has been, can't say enough good things about it.
I don't know if it's pitching coach or what's going on there, but at the same time, Norfolk, Tides, Bowie Bay Sox, Aberdeen Ironbirds, they're all at the top of their division, so it all checks out for having the best farm system in baseball.
Yeah, and what are they also doing, Josh? Those, especially Norfolk, they're scoring a ton of runs.
Yeah, they're hitting the ball.
Bowie had like 20 runs the other night.
Yeah,
they're scoring a ton of runs.
If you go on Twitter, everyone wants Nevins and
Kyle Stowers,
Leonard Henderson up,
and Jordan Westbrook.
Yes, because they're all hitting the ball.
They're putting up good numbers.
Yeah.
And you're watching, and it's hard. And today, Chris Owens, it wasn't an error, but I mean, there was an amazing moment in the 8th inning where the Athletics got runners on first and third with no outs. And there's a couple things to point out here, because this is the biggest moment of the game. First and third, no outs. Orioles up 1-0, 8th inning, bottom of the 8th inning. Brian Baker's pitching. First of all, to get to the situation, there was a run on first, then a hard hit ball to short, and it was a hard hit to shortstop. But it went right by him. I think it nicked off the glove. Yeah, it hit the glove. It did. And Chris Owens was playing shortstop. A play that I want a shortstop to make. It was a hard play, but a play I want shortstop to make. And Odor made an error the other day as well. And it's like whenever Chris Owens or Odor make an error, it's like that whole confirmation bias thing. Like I already don't like them.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you make an error too. Like if Cedric Mullins makes an error, whatever. But if Chris Owens makes an error, even makes a play that you think doesn't make a play you think he should make, it just amplifies it so much.
Yeah, totally.
So like I'm done with him. But anyway, first and third, and then Baker strikes out the next guy, and then manager Hyde, it makes just a brilliant move by pulling in Lopez for a 5-out save. And you're like, what are you doing? This is Jorge Lopez asking him to get 5 outs, coming with a runner on first and third. Jorge Lopez, of course, strikes the next guy out. and then gets the next guy out, I think a ground ball or something, and gets the third player out, and gets out of the inning. First and third, no outs. They end up giving up no runs, obviously, in that situation. And that was and then Lopez looks dominant in the ninth, and they get the win. But props to manager Hyde for pulling all the right strings there with the bullpen. And I guess credit goes to Elias for putting this bullpen together, and credit goes to manager Hyde so far for, I guess, using the bullpen well. Though unfortunately, you want to give him credit for using the bullpen well, but unfortunately, a manager is ultimately judged by his record, and right now, his record, is 4-8, which is nothing to be proud of.
Which is, again, goes back to this lineup has been so sucky that it's crazy that we are 4-8 with the way this pitching staff has been going. But
but the obvious like ways to improve the offense is do something with second base and shortstop and third.
Yes.
And you have
all those guys in the minors.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think the guys that are closest, the guy that's closest is like a guy like Kyle Stowers, who unfortunately is an outfielder. He can't help you there.
Right.
I think Tyler Nevin's interesting because he can play third base. I think I'd like to see him maybe be the next guy up. But, your Jordan Westbergs and Gunnar Hendersons are still in Double-A, so I don't know.
Right. And I would like to see them fast-tracked. But I also see, like, the Orioles – I think Mike Elias has made it very clear that it doesn't matter what happens at the major league level. He's not going to let it affect his development. And these guys will come up when they aren't learning anymore in the minors.
Yep. Grayson Rodriguez pitched tonight for Norfolk.
Right. We had great
third, 8 strikeouts, 1 hit.
John Means goes down. You would think that's a great window to bring in Grayson Rodriguez or Kyle Bradish or someone, and they don't. So he's not ready for that yet.
Yep. No. I mean, he'll throw in Chris Ellis. He'll throw in Travis Lakins, whatever. He'll throw him to the Lambs, to the slaughter. But yeah, he's not touching those prospects unless it's the timing's right, everything's right. And we'll see. We'll see how this works out for Mike Elias. I mean, it's fine because listen, if we had these guys, okay, we'd be 5-7 maybe. Like we're not. I don't think it makes us an immediate World Series contender if we had Kyle Bradish, right? Yeah. So do your thing, Mike Elias. But I mean, you can understand why Birdland is getting impatient for some of these players to be here.
Of course. And we'll talk a lot more about this on Section 336 tomorrow, and as well as like there's offensive woes, clearing guys like DJ Stewart, more into the farm system, and what we do without John Means. But tomorrow the Orioles have a 3:37 start, so a weird start time. I like the 3:37 start because it means like right when work is winding down, you get to turn on the Orioles.
I prefer a 3:36 start, but whatever. I'll take 3:37.
Yeah, I hear you. But so it's Tyler Wells versus Blackburn, and Blackburn's a pretty good pitcher for the Athletics.
Yeah. I don't know anything about him. I know something about Charlie Blackburn, who used to play for the Rockies, or maybe still does play for the Rockies. I don't know. But I don't know anything about
it. No, this is Paul Blackburn. He's got 1 win this season. He's pitched in 2 games. He's got a 1.80 ERA, and he's got 10 strikeouts over 10 innings.
All right. But if he was that good, he would have been traded. So, yeah.
But the Orioles love to strike out. Yeah. So last year he had a 5.47 ERA. Okay. So it'll be interesting to see how the Orioles line up. When we need hitting, facing the guy that gets a bunch of strikeouts is not seem like something that's going to wake up these bats.
Yeah, and Tyler Wells on the Orioles side seems like an interesting case because the first start he was absolutely horrendous, and then he had a bounce back start against the Yankees. So let's see if we see the Tampa Bay in his first start, Tyler Wells, or against the Yankees, Tyler Wells. I think we're still waiting to see Tyler Wells as a starter. Will this work out or not? So, and how long will he go and all that stuff.
And then after that, we head to face the Angels. And the difference with the Angels is the Angels have been putting up runs. So it's going to be a big test on our pitching staff, big test on the bullpen. And in order to win some of those games, our lineup's going to have to score some runs.
Yep, because they have good offense as well, right? Trout and Ohtani and them. Yeah, sure.
All right, Matt. Well, thanks for joining me on Birdland tonight. It's nice to do it with someone else and not on my own for a little change up. And I know we're doing Section 336 a little late this week, so I know you've got a bunch of stuff you're anxious to talk about tomorrow night
Yep.
on Section 336. So make sure you follow at Section 336 Show over on Twitter and Facebook and all the same stuff, just like you do for Birdland Tonight, because we will be live on there tomorrow night around 8:30 p.m. And we even got a new look for the video. I think we'll have a nice fresh look for tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
So, all right, guys. Well, we'll talk to you tomorrow.